Today on Vantage Revival, we send our own love and hate letters towards a movie directed by Susan Johnson, released in 2018, based on a New York Times best-selling book by Jenny Han. An Asian American finds herself involved with multiple challenges when her love letters were sent out to 5 boys she has loved over the years, leading to a fake relationship that lasts months where they eventually fall in love. To All the Boys I've Loved Before, now playing on Vantage Revival.
You can take the lead on this one. Feel free. I have a lot to say, but I want you to take the lead on this one.
So, first and foremost, I want to say you decided to bring in urban legends as a connection to season 1.
Yeah.
And my connection to season 1 was Noah Centineo. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful. He was also in Sarah Burgess as a Loser. And now I've brought you another high school teenage movie with him in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so To All the Boys I've Loved Before is a movie that came from a book series, and it is about a half white, half Asian girl who has never had a boyfriend before, but she's written 5 love letters that she never intends to send, and her younger sister decides to send them for her. So now she's got to kind of work her way out of all of these old and new love letters that these men have now read.
Yeah, she sure did.
So the movie starts off with her imagining this scene with her and this guy that she really had a crush on. Turns out that it is her older sister's boyfriend.
Can we also mention that scene is also like a fantasy?
Yes.
It's like a fantasy from the book she's reading.
Yes, so there's a fantasy scene from the book she's reading, The Forbidden Kiss, where she's picturing it as her and her crush from when she was a kid. And he's coming over for dinner. They decide that they're going to cut this meat. Wait,
we're going to cut this meat?
Yeah.
What are they? What?
It's like the one. What? There's one thing that bothered me throughout the whole movie. Actually, was just like the way things happened so freaking fast. But it could have also been like, I felt like the film was very Juno-esque in the way it was like filmed. I don't know.
The pacing is off.
I don't know if you've seen Juno before.
I have seen Juno.
Yeah, so I felt like it was kind of the same thing as that. But, like, she's like, I'm going to go cut this big block of meat that's taken you forever to saw through. And she comes back in 4.5 seconds with it perfectly cut. And
yeah, it wasn't even burnt anymore.
No, it was, like, it was delicious. The boyfriend and the older sister end up breaking up. And Laura Jean, she's the main character. They're in this situation of them being best friends, their sister being ex, blah, blah. I'm just going to get into the juicy stuff. Her sister sends out these 5 love letters that she wrote throughout the time. And now all of these boys are coming up to her and being like, I don't want to be with you. And I think that's where it truly starts, is when all of them are like, hey, Laura Jean, like, you're not necessarily my type, which I think is the whole premise of the movie, is the fact that she's innocent, a virgin, she is Asian, and I think that's kind of the whole point of the movie, is that, like, the hot jock is, let's be real, inevitably gonna fall for the innocent little virgin girl.
Yeah, that was the point of the movie. I had a hard time with this movie. And you know what? I think it had little nuggets of what could have been a great coming-of-age teenage movie, and they ignored every opportunity they had. So I'll start at the beginning with that fantasy dream sequence of her being in the book and the crush being her love. I was like, okay, cool. And then they crash back to reality, and it's like, okay, she's reading a book. Why was that not a main part of the storyline, that she can go into these book sequences and have these fantasy moments and then get pulled back to reality? Like, that would have been, I think, a much more engaging movie, and it was a shame that only the first 15 seconds did that, and they never touch upon that aspect of her creativity ever again in this movie. There was just problems, and I think my biggest problem was the actual letters. So like you said, there was 5 letters that she wrote to 5 previous boys who affected her life in positive ways, or, you know, in a flirty sort of way affected her. Within the first 15 minutes of those letters going out, we already know 4 of the responses. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that was such a missed opportunity. Yet again, Why did we have to know the results of 4 of them so quickly? Why couldn't they have spaced it out and had more tension of like, okay, well, who's going to come forward next and what's going to happen? But no, it's like, you know, okay, Josh got a letter. And okay, he wants to talk to her, but she doesn't want to talk to him. Peter got it, and Peter's like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of like your romantic life. Sorry. Then we got, I think it was Lucas. And he's like, sorry, I'm gay, so I'll move on. And then there was the 4th one where the letter got sent back because the postal code, whatever, wasn't correct. Within the first 15 minutes. Like, that's it. At that point, I lost a lot of engagement for me because I really thought, not knowing much about this movie, I've heard of it, but never knew anything really about it. I thought those 5 letters were going to carry the entire movie. And I thought Josh was going to be a bigger character because they focus on him so much at the beginning. And he's barely seen in this movie. And it's really about Peter. And I'm like, who the hell's Peter? Why does he matter? Why does it matter about his ex-girlfriend? Like, it just, the focus was that, and it was not on Laura Jean at all. It was just about Peter and his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, and yeah, it annoyed me. It literally annoyed me because there was potential in this movie. There was so much potential, and I felt like it would have been a better TV series than it was a movie. And I wish it kind of been like episode 1, letter 1, episode 2, letter 2. And that would have been more engaging. And yes, at the end, there's the reveal of the 5th letter. He finds the house. And that is kind of I'm assuming, the continuation on part 2. And yeah, maybe there's something there. But that build up to get there was excruciating, to put it nicely. I think this movie being, I'm this Asian virgin who has crushes on boys got really boring because that was the only plot point she had. I felt no growth for her character, and I thought her name was Marjorie for a good chunk of the movie because I kept mumbling her name the entire time. And that was like a big part of it too, is like, what nickname can I give her? I'm like, is this what we're talking about? Like where
that part's so weird.
Yeah, like where is the fun? I just felt like there wasn't much fun in this movie, and a lot of things happened really fast without really any payoff. Mm-hmm. And I'll leave it there for now and kind of go off whatever you want to talk about.
This is not trying to be like out of line by any sense, but I'm a girl and you're a boy, and I mean,
I'm a gay boy though, so I don't know if that's fully fair.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
I have fantasies. I read books.
I get what you're saying.
You don't read books. Don't pretend you read books.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, me and you are very different. Obviously, are very different in our movie styles. Mm-hmm. And for me, like, I'm very much one, like, I want the happy ending. I want the boy and the girl to fall in love. I want that. And I did see growth in her, personally, because I think it went from her living in a fantasy. She even mentions at one point that in her head, in her fantasies, she can drive a car just fine. But throughout the whole movie, we know that she doesn't like being in a car. And by the end of the movie, one of her main topics is that she drove to the school.
Except we never see her drive in, like, any of the scenes.
It's just a car from the top of the view. So there's a part in the movie where Peter Kavinsky steals Laura Jean's scrunchie. I don't have any personal connection to this, but what's so crazy, I was way out of high school when this movie came out, but what's so crazy is just like looking on social media, that became the biggest thing. And it wasn't even an intentional thing that they did in the movie. He was just like, I'm gonna hold on to your scrunchie, and he put it on. And that turned into, if you're in a relationship, the boy is wearing the girl's scrunchie on his wrist. And I thought, I'm glad I wasn't in high school when that happened, because it's a little bit cringy, but I just think it's like crazy how much of an impact that one tiny little scene made to all these teenage girls being like, look at Peter Kavinsky, he was so cute, he wore the scrunchie, I have to give my scrunchie to my boyfriend.
See, and I'm shocked by that, because I felt very different watching that moment. I thought he was overbearing. Like, it was like, oh, you kind of implied you look ugly with it, you look better without it. Like, I was disappointed in that scene. It wasn't really empowering. I didn't think it was cute by any means. Like, if my partner's like, hey, don't wear that, I'd be like, whoa, fuck you. I'm wearing whatever I want to wear.
Now I am going to wear it every day.
Yeah, so, I didn't feel the same way, and I'm surprised that people thought that was cute, because I did not think it was cute.
Yeah, it was huge. While we're in the topic of that house party that they went to.
Yeah, there's lots there, and nothing at the same time.
Why are all teenage movies whether it be from 2022 or whatever, or something back even to Mean Girls, why are all teenage high school movies having parties in these big, luxurious, there's indoor pools in the middle, nobody's parents are around, they're all teenagers, they're all drinking and playing pool and beer pong. I'm like, when I was in high school, a fucking shitty basement from the 90s was the most bumpin' party I'd ever been to. But every teenage movie, even if you're the biggest nerd on the block, Sierra, you end up at this freaking $2 million mansion party. I don't understand. Have a normal party in a movie.
And again, they're creating a fantasy, right? Nobody wants to watch a 90s basement party on the big screen or on the little screen. They want to go to these mansions and see the luxury of these parties.
That 70s show did it.
I don't think they had as many mansions as they do now. I just think they're catering to kids nowadays that want fame and glamour, and that's what this is boiling down to. I don't think it's being real by any means. My bigger issue with the party scene is party scenes are a part of almost every teen movie, one way or another. And they're usually a big part of the movie because a fight will happen, or some reveal will happen, or some love interest things will happen. But this party, they were only there for like 4 minutes, it felt like. And nothing happened except the ex-girlfriend got the scrunchie. And I'm like, okay, cool, she's going to go back out there wearing the scrunchie and the fight's going to happen or something. Nope. It's the next day already. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this whole party was like pumped up, like we have to attend, we have to be there, and then nothing happened at the party. And the scrunchie thing, like the issue of the ex-girlfriend having the new girlfriend scrunchie, which is so stupid saying out loud, didn't come into fruition until like 3 months later. When she used it, like, oh my god, like, is it Peter?
Peter, yeah.
Peter gave me this scrunchie and I love it. Oh my god, is that my scrunchie? That's my favorite scrunchie. Bitch, it's been gone for 3 months. How'd you not know if it was your favorite?
Yes, I agree with that. But, and I'm not saying I don't agree with the party scene. Yes, I think more could have happened in the party scene. But I think that was the first real moment that Peter started having feelings for Laura Jean in a real way. When they went and got dinner and they were able to kind of have an open conversation. And he was angry that Laura Jean called it pretend. And I think that was the first moment that he started having feelings for her. So I think the party scene was them going to this party, seeing the ex, him talking to the ex, and then he's like, hey, let's leave. Not being in this situation myself, but being a woman who has been, and this sounds so far, of course, but hold on. Being a woman who's been cheated on multiple times, I have been at a party with my boyfriend, had to leave, but the whole time been watching my boyfriend have girls sit on his lap, and him making, slight gestures towards women, and then finding out that he cheated on me that night with a girl. If your whole relationship is based around making your ex-girlfriend jealous, you make your ex-girlfriend jealous at the party, that's your opportunity. The relationship should be over, but it's not. And I think that is the leading part. That is the first part that we realize, okay, Peter's not just in this to make his ex-girlfriend jealous because he has. He's staying in this because he likes Laura Jean.
I'm speechless. Because I feel like I watched a whole different movie. Because I don't think it's as deep as how you feel towards this movie, at least for me. They kept implying that Peter is a dick, and they said that numerous times, but I didn't see anything, outside the scrunchy thing, maybe. I didn't see anything that Peter did as dickish. Like,
I agree.
And this may come down to script writing, or, I mean, it must be, because it's not the acting. It's just he didn't do anything that was dickish. He didn't bully anyone. He didn't call anyone names. He didn't push anyone. Like, he just didn't do anything that falls under the dick category. And that is a trademark character in almost every teen movie. There's a dick character, and they prove why they're a dick. So, because he didn't have those moments, and pretty much right off the bat, he was so nice to Laura Jean the entire movie. Like, he even wasn't that big a dick to her. So it's just like, again, I didn't see this moment of, oh, he's changing and opening his heart. Like, no, he wasn't that bad to begin with. Even when he got the letter and he's like, oh, I don't want to do this with you, whatever, he wasn't even mean about it. And that could have been a great opportunity for him to be completely an asshole about it, but he wasn't. So this movie to me dragged because there was no ups or downs. It was just, he stayed the same the entire time, always liked her, just more so admitted it towards the end. And she always liked him, but was scared because she's scared to lose her virginity, which was a big theme in this movie, it seemed like.
I think we're viewing it a little bit differently, but once again, I think that's a different taste in movies. I'm super into like romantic movies and all, and I feel that a lot of romantic movies go the same way. There's never really a dick in romantic movies. There's never really...
I'm torn because I'll have to bring them forward because I do like romantic movies. I do.
Doesn't seem like it.
There is, and I need to find them now because I need to prove to you that there are good romantic movies that are not guideless. I just felt like this movie was guideless. Once it lost track of the point of what the hook was about these letters, it became pointless. It just became a movie about her and Peter, and like it just lost focus in my opinion.
As you've seen, there's a part 2. So you can only guess that at some point we'll be watching part 2.
Can't wait.
And let me tell you...
I hope it's season 25.
I'm not... Season 25. It's next. No, just kidding. Honestly, I think that the second one's better than the first one.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
That's saying a lot, but it's also because the ending of the second one is just, if you're into romantic movies, it's a dream. It's a dream ending if you're into romantic movies.
Well, I haven't seen it, so we can't talk about it.
Yes, we're not going to talk about it. But as I'm saying, we do, and like I say, without giving away too much, in the second movie, you do see a little bit more with the letters. You do see a little bit more with the other people that she did send letters to. But the whole point of the series is that Peter Kavinsky's kind of like the one for her. I think that's why the first movie really just kind of gets rid of all of the other prospects right off the bat, is because
shame.
She's supposed to end up with Peter Kavinsky, and you know what? I think it makes sense, and they didn't know how popular the movie was going to be, and if they just ended it on this Which Love Letter 1, and then they didn't get signed for a second movie, which they probably knew they would, but if they didn't, it was just kind of this up in the air, well, which one did she choose, right? So they had to end the movie with her being with somebody.
Which is fine. Obviously, I think that was a fine choice. I just wish there was more conflict of having the other options. Like, if Josh had been more of like, yeah, I've loved you this entire time too, then there could have been a little bit more tension. But there wasn't any, because there was no other options. It was just Peter the entire time. And I think that's where I, again, just lost interest, because there was no... They had a contract. They had a contract for their fake relationship, and what they both expected and had rules for each other. And very early on, she's already upset about him talking to his ex-girlfriend. And it's like, okay, well, that's what the contract was about, though. So why are you upset? Okay, obviously you're falling in love with him. And so I get it. But that happened so early on, and then that's just the running theme for the rest of the movie, that she's just upset that he's talking to his ex-girlfriend, as if that wasn't the original contract from the beginning of the movie. So it just... Yeah, and then there's the hot tub scene, which we'll get into all that stuff too.
Yeah, we'll get into that. You going with the contract and her being upset, I also do find that like a little bit off-putting in the movie for both of their reputations, in the sense where Peter's making it very clear and wants to make it very clear to everybody that he is with Laura Jean, and then he's constantly going and seeing his ex-girlfriend, which is the point of the contract, but like... Then it's just this one part, and Laura Jean's just like, you were basically begging to get back with her on the bleachers. How does that look for people who think we're in a relationship? And Peter goes, you don't even post about us on Instagram. And I'm like, it's not a very good comeback. It's not a very good comeback to be like, I'm talking to my ex-girlfriend about potentially getting back together.
Which is the point.
You don't even post about us on Instagram, so there's my excuse as to why I'm doing that. It just wasn't, it's not a good look, especially, and I get that was the point, was like, she was talking to Josh, and Peter saw her in an empty hallway, talking to Josh, yet he was very clearly at lunch break with people running on the track, and he's talking to Jen, is his ex-girlfriend's name, and he's getting mad at Laura Jean for talking in the hallway. It was just a weird concept, but you don't even post about us on Instagram? That just, it makes me chuckle. 2022 relationships are just posting each other on Instagram.
Oh God. can't. I just can't. And like, I don't know. And that's the thing where I'm torn. It's like, did I not like this movie because I am older and this doesn't relate to me? But then I do enjoy like teen movies that I grew up with and I understand. So it's, I don't know. I
think are very different though too. I think teen movies that you had are very different from these teen movies now.
Hold that thought. This movie in particular though was trying to highlight movies from the 80s. With like 16 Candles and whatnot. So they were trying to bring back those movies from that time era. So is that fair to say that because it's set in this current year or around this year that I don't connect to it because of that when it's trying to bring back an 80s movie?
Yeah, I think that it tried to bring back an 80s movie in one scene.
No, there's many things. Well, okay, have you seen 16 Candles?
No.
You can't really say that you don't know the connecting things that they kind of touched upon.
He put his hat in in her pocket.
Yes, but
So what's the other ones? I'm curious.
Well, you haven't seen it, so it doesn't make any relevance. But the dynamic of their characters are also pretty similar in the sense of their personalities are very different, and they're trying to make this relationship work. Mm-hmm. And I think if you saw 16 Candles, you would be like, okay, yeah, I kind of see the correlation now of what they were trying to do based off that movie. And have you seen Fight Club?
I've seen Fight Club.
Okay, so...
Yes.
Here's my question with that. Laura Jean, is she just crazy? Because there's moments in her bedroom where she just sees the men that she's like...
See, but I think that's a part of the fantasy. See, now... Make up your goddamn mind. Do you want her to be able to control her fantasies, or do you want her, or do you want the fucking movie?
No. I want the fantasy of the book. You know, if she is a princess riding a dragon, then yes, throw that into the movie. But I don't want her on her dirty floor looking at Peter going like, oh my god, you're not actually here because I'm batshit crazy, you know? Or is she in Fight Club and like everything's just in her head and none of this is real?
You know what? I think that when we watch the second one, it might answer some questions for you. Actually, when we watch the third one, I think that's when it's... I think that's when it's... The second one is really good, I promise. The third one's meh, but the third one I think will answer a lot of your questions about that.
Oh, I can't.
The third one's the last one, I promise.
Yeah, right now. I'm sure the fourth one's in development.
Probably. Do you want to talk about the sex tape?
That's the next one, the nightgown and the hot tub and all that stuff. So, okay, calling this a sex tape...
Very out of line.
Very extreme. Mm-hmm. And for a movie that I struggled to enjoy, this portion of it I really did not like. I was okay with the hot tub scene, you know, Peter's in the hot tub, he's kind of upset with Laura Jean. And she comes up to him and they have a little conversation. They kind of apologize, and she decides to go into the hot tub in her nightgown. Okay, I'm fine with all this. And they kiss. And my bigger issue, outside of it being a sex tape, is when they get out of the hot tub, they're completely dry. Her nightgown's completely dry.
I know! She gets into bed, her nightgown's dry.
Yeah. She literally slept in the thing that she just went to the hot tub with. Yeah. Like, it makes no sense. I was like, this is so stupid. But anyways, the next day, the sex tape is released, and it's her kissing him in the hot tub. And they keep referring to this as a sex tape.
Yeah, she keeps saying, like, I made a sex tape and I'm still a virgin. Well, then you didn't make a sex tape. You made out with somebody in a hot tub.
And you're 16.
Like, everybody freaking does that.
You look 35, but you're 16. And that's another issue with this movie, is that everyone looks super fucking old. Like, her older sister, Margot, looks like she's 40.
Oh, she looks so
I thought
old.
She was the mom at the beginning.
Yeah, she looks very old. And you know what? That guy, King Bach, played Peter's best friend in the movie. I guess his name was Greg. And he's the guy who hosted the party. He was literally 30 when he made the movie. But the thing is some 30-year-olds can pull off 17 if they really try hard enough. He just looked like a 30-year-old attending middle school. He's the guy who came up with the Largy name.
Oh.
That guy.
They all looked like they were 30 years. Everyone looked old in this movie.
I think they tried to make Largy look younger by putting her in, like, the pigtail, like, making her style a little bit more high school. But yeah, they all kind of looked pretty old. And like Noah, he plays in so many teenage movies. He's finally just released something that isn't a teenage movie.
And it's not a porno?
Maybe we'll have to watch it. Well, we can watch that too. Anyway, but he was notorious for playing teenage movies, right? And obviously he's just gotten too old to play them now, which sucks because I love him in teenage movies. But yeah, like to the point of To All the Boys I Loved Before, he was starting to look, especially by the third one. He was a grown-ass man in high school or in college, but whatever.
Yeah, no, it took me out. There's so many things in this movie that just took me out of it, and their age, their looks were definitely a big part of it, and I also thought at the beginning that Josh and Peter were the same person for a second. Mm-hmm. Like they didn't have their names yet, or Peter didn't have a name yet. Like, they look so similar. Like, they couldn't find actors that look different from each other. Why are they the same person? Except, like...
She has a type.
Josh has elf ears. That's the only difference. And Peter has more acne. Like, like, that's the only difference in these two men.
You know nothing. Peter Kavinsky is so much harder than Josh Sanderson.
Like, 1% maybe.
Can we talk about how she didn't want to see Josh so bad that she climbed out of a window, rolled off the roof, and stood up and then biked her way down to a diner?
Yeah.
No injury, no nothing.
And see, like, those moments for me are fine, because I think that's kind of adding comedy to it, like the physical slapstick, so I was okay with it. I mean, it's unrealistic.
That's the part you were okay with. That was the unrealistic part that you were okay with. Yes. Are you fucking kidding me?
No. Yeah, imaginary men in your bedroom, that's not cool, but falling off the roof of your house and being fine, that's hilarious. Oh my God. But speaking of the bike and stuff, when she goes to the diner, maybe I heard this wrong, but did Peter not say, "Is that your pink sparkly bike outside?" And she said, "Yeah." And then it was a blue bicycle when she was riding it?
Yes, I think that is what he says. But on top of that, he then drives her home. They show inside the car. There's no bike in his backseat. There's no bike hooked up to the back of his car, and then she just gets out and she's carrying her bike inside. And so I'm like, this bike is magical. It's pink, it's blue, it shows up wherever she is.
Oh my God, and it's pink and sparkly nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Magic bike.
The other thing that I thought was a continuity error, I don't know if you saw this, when they made the contract and he grabbed it from her to write ski trip on it, the writing, the font, if you want to call that, changed in every single scene that it was in. So, like, when he first got it, it was all, like, scribbled, and it was, like, over and over.
And it was, like, on top of her writing.
Yeah, and then the next one, it was just, like, one strike only. And then at the end of the movie, they find the contract again, and it's completely different.
It's, like, her writing, yeah.
It's just, like, how did you lose the one sheet they need to keep? Like...
Yeah, exactly.
So dumb. So there's a part towards the end where Margot, she went to England, right? Oh no, Scotland.
Scotland, yeah.
Margot went to Scotland for school, and she came back, and Josh and everyone's there, and they see her, and it's kind of a dramatic moment. And Laura Jean is questioned why Margot's there, and she's like, "Oh, she finished her exams early." That is not a thing. Like, what does that mean? She finished her exams early? Like, as someone who's done many exams, there's a set date and time. You just can't be like, you know what? I feel like doing my exam today. Give it to me. Like, that's not how that works.
Not only that, even if she finished 2 hours before she was supposed to, she's not hopping a flight from Scotland in an hour and a half, you know?
Yeah, it was just dumb. I just can't.
One thing that I do really like about the less... like, it's not a romantic part of the movie and it's more serious part of the movie is the way that, like, Laura Jean talks about her mom's death. And I love how comfortable she is and how okay she is with it, even though she admits to Peter that she's really not okay with it, but she does make jokes and she does look past it, and she goes with her dad to the diner and plays her mom's song over and over again. But I do really love how open she is about her mom's death and making sure that nobody has to feel bad for what happened to her mom.
Yeah, I think the handling of that topic was done in a really graceful way that you don't see very often in many movies that tackle that subject. And it was refreshing for her to be okay with the conversations, make jokes about it, and I think that is a great way to instill healing in people that do have those sorts of trauma in their life. When it comes to the story, I think that's another place too where I felt they totally missed the mark. Like, I wish there had been flashback scenes of how the things that her mom instilled in her reflected with how she handled her life now. And they didn't have that. And I'm like, the mother storyline's really good, but they don't touch upon it enough. You know, they focus more on the scrunchie, you know, like they just, the focus is so missed. Like, I can't stress enough that I think this movie has the potential to be really great. And if they had focused on the letters, growth, and the mom, I think it would have been a much, much better movie. But every time they had something, they just abandoned it. And they just moved back to Peter again. It's like, Peter is one of the most boring characters in this whole thing because he doesn't change and he just has one goal in mind. And yeah, I really agree with the mother-daughter aspect and the death of it. I wish they had done more of it. The one thing I did like, I thought that was really cute, was the jukebox scene at the diner at the table. I really like that. And I also love the idea of a personal jukebox being on.
I know, that's really cute. I love that.
Individual table, yeah. I wonder how that would sound when everyone's playing their music.
You need boots.
I guess. But it was really cute. So, yeah. I don't know, I wish there was more of that. And I just felt that the connections, like, between the sisters wasn't the best. Like, Margot and Laura Jean, for example. I don't know, I have siblings, so I get it. They don't always get along and whatnot, but they were, like, upset about really petty things. And again, siblings do get upset about petty things, but it just felt not beneficial to this movie. I kind of felt like Margot should have taken a mother role, maybe, instead of being this 18-year-old woman who looks like she's 45 and being upset about these letters and whatnot. And
what I find kind of funny about that too is he was like Laura Jean's best friend. He's Laura Jean's age. So Margot's mad that she went and started dating her sister's best friend, who's younger by 3 years. But then she gets super pissed off because Laura Jean said that even if she currently loved him, I think she has the right to do that. I'm sorry, that was her best friend since childhood. You invaded that, and now you're mad that she's in love with him? Fuck off, Margot. I don't like Margot. I don't like her. So it's a peeve of, like, you really have no say in that.
I agree. I also love the Golden Girls marathon. Like, I think that should be in every movie. Like, I really love... You've watched the Golden Girls, right? No. Well, you've never seen an episode of the Golden Girls. I've never seen an episode of the Golden Girls. Oh my god, how do we branch off of movies into a Golden Girls review?
God.
Okay, no, you're missing out.
We won't be doing podcasts for another year because we're going to be watching the Golden Girls. We'll come back with one episode.
We're watching Golden Girls. Like, you're missing out on some golden content right there.
Oh, God.
That's all I got.
Okay, so for every movie, we do have a rating system. We give them out of 3 for a total of 15 points. And our first one is the edge of seat rating. I'd love to hear how not on the edge of the seat you were.
No, I was on the edge of my seat, looking for exits. When will the power go out? You know?
Yeah.
It's a solid 1 for me.
He hates my movies, by the way. So he thinks I'm biased against my movies, but I'm pretty sure he'd just give all categories a 1 just because I picked the movie.
That literally has never happened outside of 500 Days of Summer. I have been very fair in my ratings, and I have lowballed my movies too, so I don't think that's fair to put me in this negative light.
Okay.
I just gave Urban Legends 5.5. The second one.
The first one's a solid 10 out of 10.
But yeah, that's a 1. How about you?
I did a 2. I'm not going to I could have done a 1.5 or a 2. I agree with you in the sense where it's just, November, we kissed. December, we went on a ski trip. There's nothing really to keep you on the edge of your seat. You know they're going to end up together. It's a teen movie. There's nothing...
And you still give it a 2?
Yeah, because I still...
Do you understand what the rating... You just clarify what the rating is and you still give it a 2.
It's 2. Because I was just saying why it wasn't a 3. Now I'm saying why it's not a 1. Because I'm not being biased against this movie. I'm being biased against romantic movies. In the sense where I love the drama of things falling apart and them realizing that they love each other. Or I also think back to the first time that I watched this. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if more...
Were your eyes closed?
Hear me out. I didn't know what was going to happen in the sense where I, honest to God, thought that maybe something would happen with Josh after Margot and Laura Jean talked about it. I didn't know how it was going to go, but then...
That's fine. But you can't base your original edge of your seat compared to today's review. That's the thing. Like, for Urban Legends, when I was a kid, the second one, I kind of liked it. I would have given it a higher edge of seat rating. But now as today, I couldn't.
No, I know, but just because I know how it's going to end doesn't mean that I'm still not invested in it. I'm not like you. I wasn't waiting for the power to go out. I wasn't waiting for the movie to end. And I've seen this movie a bunch of times, really never had to look at my phone or do something throughout the movie. I've constantly, no matter how many times I've watched it, including today, I stay glued to the screen because I am interested in I am interested in the movie and I know what's going to happen and I still watch it. I watch it at least once a year. So, I mean, I'm still interested in the movie and I guess that's my 2 score.
Okay.
Next is acting.
Yeah, just like the edge of my seat, it's a solid 1. There was no redeeming actors in this movie for me. I had a hard time with them. Just all of them. Sorry.
Okay, so I give it a 2.5. The only people that would have made me give it a little bit higher was I despise Margot and I despise her acting. I do not like Jen and Jen's acting, and I do not like Chris or Christine.
Yeah, it was Christy, and they called her.
But I feel like those people aren't. The reason I gave it a 2.5 still and didn't give it a 2 or a 1.5 is because those little characters aren't in the movie so much. Maybe Christine a little bit more.
We didn't even talk about her. That's how pointless her character was.
So I didn't care. Her acting sucks, but she's in it so little that I don't care. I personally find, and you know this from the first season, I personally find Noah Centineo a really good actor. I personally find Lana Condor a really good actress. I think that the girl who plays Kitty did a great job in her kind of like wacky little sister role. I think Josh did a good job in his role. Personally, for me, I thought the acting for who was a main part of the movie, they did good. And I love the dad. He played in Raise Your Voice. I love the dad. I think he's a great actor. The next category is... Oh, God, you're going to give it a 1. It's the script. I'm ready for a fucking 5 rating here.
Well, you'll be very surprised to know that I gave it a 1. Again, I can't stress enough how much I did not like
this movie
and how things were pointless and there was so much opportunity. I'll give it that. If there was an opportunity score, it would have got a 3, like trust, but it failed. The script had done so much more and it didn't do it.
So I gave it a 2. Do I agree that there could have been more added with the mom? Do I agree that there could have been more added with the other letters? I do. But I still think, once again, that just as much as edge of your seat, I think that script also has to do with you being on the edge of your seat. And I think that, for me, I do like the way that it is not laid out, but played out, I guess. I like it, so I gave it a 2. Well, whatever, you're going to give Climax a 1, you're going to give What I Watch Again a 1. We don't even need to ask these questions anymore.
We do, it's a part of the program.
Climax, what'd you give it?
A 1.
Yeah.
What'd you give it?
A 2.
Why?
Yeah, I'm not even going to ask you. You gave it a 1 because it sucked. I gave it a 2 because I think that, like, where would you consider the climax, first of all? What do you think is the climax?
I think it would be when, like, Margot comes home and everyone kind of realizes the letter situation happened and you do love Peter, so go talk to him. Like, that's the climax of the movie.
And yes, so the 2, I love the part where Kitty, the intrusive little sister who sent the letters, also kept all of the things, because I think for me that was the time that Laura Jean realized that none of what she just did for the past 3 months was pretend. Everything was real, and she loves him and he loves her, and seeing those letters made her realize that that's what it was and that's what put them together. And I actually really love that concept of her being like, I am so into these fantasy books and love letters and all this stuff, and I just want someone to write me a love letter. And I'm glad that it wasn't like a, Laura Jean, I'm in love with you. It was just simple things like, you look pretty today. And she realized, she's like, oh my gosh, it got to the end where it wasn't about making his ex-girlfriend jealous anymore. It was about how he actually loved her. And It gives me goosebumps. I love their relationship. I love their relationship. I love Peter Kavinsky. It's a 2.
I just wish that those little letters had been a bigger part of the movie. I wish there had been parts where she read them and was just like, oh, this is dumb. Or like reference that it wasn't important at that point, and then later on realized, wow, these did mean something to me. But they didn't really do that yet again. Like, they got the letters, they went into a box.
I think the way that they did that, though, was in the sense of, you know, when he said, like, good job for her taking a note from him, I think that she just thought that they were blank papers or something, right? Like, she didn't care.
So you think she didn't look at them?
I don't think she looked at them at all.
Then why keep them?
She didn't.
Oh, I mean...
She threw them out and Kitty fished them out of her garbage. And
every time? Like, that doesn't make sense, though. Like...
I mean, it doesn't... It's a movie. It's a movie, D. It doesn't have to make sense.
Hey, they do sometimes.
But, you know, like, I really do think that that was, like, a big part of it. Because she actually realized that, like, she's worth something. I feel like that was her realizing that someone actually does like her for who she is. And not just because there was a contract. So, I don't have to... No, sorry, I'll ask you this question. Even though I know the answer. Would you watch it again?
Would I watch it again? Is that what you asked?
Yes.
I have 2 answers for you. 1 is the real answer, and 3 if I wanted to torture someone.
Wow. Well, that's good, because I gave it a 3, and that means we're watching part 2! Be ready! So we'll go with your total score first.
My total score is 5.
And mine is 11.5. So that gives it a total score of 16.5, which, because you like to think that I'm biased against my movies, if you guys didn't catch our Urban Legends Final Cut podcast that we posted earlier, you can go listen to that and see how unbiased I am towards my movies based on this 16.5 score. Curious?
But you gave this one a higher score, so you are biased.
By 2.
I'm just saying, you always give your movies a higher score than mine, so...
But you also gave Urban Legends a shit score.
Which proves that I'm not biased by movies, because I could have given it 15 if I wanted to.
Yeah, but it was a bad movie, so it got shittier scores.
And so was this one. So here we are.
I'm not going to start rating my movies that I like lower just to make me seem unbiased. I only gave 2 more points to this one than I did to Urban Legends.
That's fair.
Go listen to Urban Legends and tell me that this movie's better. Thank you. Thank you.
Go drink some water.
Piss.
Thanks for listening to Vantage Revival. Please like, comment, and subscribe